Ever wish you had like a cheat sheet to understanding how people change throughout their lives?
Yeah.
Well, today we're going deep into the science behind human development
Yes,
to
yes.
uncover some seriously fascinating insights.
Cool.
We've got excerpts from a college textbook on the topic.
Right.
And get this, it's not all about childhood. We'll be exploring how and why people of all ages change over time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lifelong process.
It is.
And what's fascinating is that development isn't always a straight climb up a ladder, you know.
Right.
It's multidirectional, meaning we experience gains and losses, unexpected turns, and even plateaus sometimes.
Wow.
It's this dynamic interplay of our genes,
Yeah.
our environment, and even our culture
Yeah.
that makes the journey so unique for each person.
It's like a choose your own adventure novel, but for life.
Yeah.
Speaking of adventures, the textbook mentions a surprising study that found loneliness can be as harmful to your health as smoking. Did you know that it can increase the risk of heart disease by a whopping 29%
Really?
and stroke by 31%?
That's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a stark reminder that our social connections are essential for our well-being.
Definitely.
Of course, having friends doesn't make you invincible or anything.
Right.
But it's a powerful factor in overall health, that's for sure.
Yeah.
What's really intriguing is this concept of differential susceptibility, which highlights how our genes can actually make us more sensitive to certain experiences.
Okay, let's unpack this differential susceptibility idea.
Okay.
It sounds like it's taking the nature versus nurture debate to a whole new level.
It is. Think of it this way. Imagine two children,
Okay.
one with a gene that makes them more sensitive to stress, and another without it. If both children experience a stressful event, like, say, a divorce in the family,
Right.
the child with the sensitivity gene might be more likely to develop anxiety or depression as a result.
So it's like having different settings on a thermostat. Some people are just wired to be more reactive to their surroundings.
Exactly.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
It really makes you wonder how our early experiences,
Yeah.
both positive and negative, shape our development later in life.
Yeah, that's a crucial area of study.
Right?
Research on adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, shows just how impactful those early years can be.
Yeah.
For instance, studies have linked childhood trauma to a higher risk of heart disease in adulthood,
Wow.
demonstrating just how deep those effects run.
That's incredible. It's a powerful reminder that creating supportive and nurturing environments, especially for children,
Yeah.
is vital. But it's also comforting to know that development isn't solely determined by childhood.
Right.
This lifespan perspective you mentioned earlier is a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, definitely.
We're not just stuck with whatever baggage we accumulate in those early years.
Right. We continue to grow and change across all stages of life.
Yeah.
For example, did you know that the concept of adolescence as a distinct life stage is relatively new?
Oh, really?
Yeah, it didn't really exist before the Industrial Revolution.
Huh. That's interesting.
It's a fascinating example of how cultural and historical factors shape our understanding of development.
It makes you wonder what future generations will consider like normal stages of development.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that development isn't always a smooth, continuous process.
Right.
While some aspects unfold gradually, others happen in more distinct stages.
Okay.
There are even what we call critical periods
Mm.
and sensitive periods when certain experiences have a particularly strong impact.
Oh, okay.
Think about language acquisition.
Right.
While it's technically possible to learn a new language at any age,
Yeah.
it's much easier during early childhood.
Makes sense. It's like those old video games where you had to collect certain power-ups at specific times to level up.
Yeah.
Missing that window might make it harder, but not impossible to progress later on.
That's a great analogy.
Uh-huh.
And speaking of levels, one of the most comprehensive ways to look at development is through Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems theory.
Okay.
Think of it like those Russian nesting dolls,
All right.
with the individual right at the center.
Okay, I'm visualizing those dolls. So what are the different layers surrounding the individual?
So the first layer is what we call the microsystem,
Mm-hmm.
which includes your immediate family, friends, and school.
Okay.
Then there's the mesosystem, which is how those different parts of the microsystem interact.
Oh, okay.
For example, how your parents' relationship with your teacher might affect your school experience.
So it's not just about what happens within each circle, but about how those circles overlap and influence each other.
Exactly. Beyond that, you have the exosystem,
Okay.
encompassing things like your parents' workplaces or community resources,
Right.
which indirectly impact you.
Yeah.
And finally, there's the macro system, which includes the broader cultural values, laws, and customs of the society you live in.
It really paints a picture of how interconnected everything is. It's like those chain reaction machines where one tiny movement can set off a whole cascade of events.
I love that image. And speaking of chain reactions,
Yeah.
let's consider how historical events
Right.
like the rise of the internet or socioeconomic factors
Okay.
can create ripples that impact a person's entire developmental trajectory.
Yeah, it really highlights the importance of considering context when we think about development. It's not just about individual choices.
Right.
It's about the opportunities and resources available to each person.
Absolutely. And speaking of context,
Right.
we can't overlook the powerful influence of culture.
Right.
Culture shapes our beliefs, behaviors, and expectations about the world.
Yeah.
It's like an invisible script that guides our interactions
Oh, wow.
and interpretations of events.
But culture can be a tricky thing to study, right? It's so nuanced and subjective.
It is, yeah.
How do scientists even begin to measure something like that?
It's definitely a challenge.
Yeah.
One approach is to compare different cultural practices and observe how they influence development.
Okay.
A simple example. In some cultures, it's considered perfectly normal to physically discipline children,
Right.
while in others, it's strictly forbidden.
It's a reminder that what's considered normal is often just a reflection of the cultural lens we're looking through.
Precisely. And that's why it's crucial to avoid what we call the difference equals deficit error,
Okay.
where we assume that any cultural practice different from our own is somehow inferior.
Right.
It's about understanding that diversity is a strength, not a weakness.
So instead of judging, we should be curious and try to understand the reasons behind those differences.
Exactly.
It's about embracing the richness of human experience in all its forms.
Now, to really appreciate how scientists study this complex tapestry of human development, we need to understand that it's a multidisciplinary effort.
Okay.
We're talking biology, psychology, sociology, economics, and anthropology,
Wow, it takes a village.
all coming together to contribute their unique perspectives.
It's like a giant academic potluck. Everyone bringing their own dish to the table.
I like that. Each discipline offers a different piece of the puzzle, and it's only by putting those pieces together that we can get a more complete picture of human development.
Yeah, it's fascinating to think about how these different fields intersect.
Yeah.
For example, a biologist might study the hormonal changes during puberty,
Right.
while a psychologist might explore how those changes affect teenagers' self-esteem or social interactions.
Exactly. And a sociologist might examine how cultural norms about beauty or masculinity shape those experiences even further.
Yeah.
It's this intricate dance between biology, psychology, and culture that makes the study of human development so captivating.
It's like a never-ending mystery novel with new clues and twists emerging all the time. Speaking of exciting discoveries, what about this concept of plasticity?
Yes.
What is that?
Plasticity is one of the most remarkable aspects of human development. It refers to our capacity for change throughout life,
Okay.
the ability to learn new skills, adapt to new situations, and even overcome early adversity.
So we're not just stuck with the hand we're dealt at birth.
No,
There's room for growth and transformation even as we age.
absolutely.
Oh, wow.
And recent research on neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself in response to experience, is truly groundbreaking.
Yeah.
It's changing the way we think about learning, rehabilitation,
Right.
and even aging.
So even if we weren't exposed to certain experiences during those critical periods we talked about earlier,
Right.
our brains can still adapt and learn.
That's right. For example,
Yeah.
studies have shown that learning a new language or playing a musical instrument can actually change the structure and function of your brain, even in adulthood.
It's a message of hope and empowerment. It means we have more agency over our development than we might think. But this raises an interesting question.
Okay.
With so many factors influencing us, how much control do we actually have over our own development?
That's a great question.
How much is predetermined by our genes or our environment?
Right.
And how much is shaped by our choices and actions?
It's a profound question, and it's one that scientists are still grappling with. There's no easy answer.
Right.
But what we do know is that we're not simply passive recipients of our genes or our environment. We have the capacity to make choices, to learn from our experiences, and to shape our own destinies, even in the face of challenges.
It's a powerful reminder that while we may not be able to control everything that happens to us, we can control how we respond, how we learn, and how we grow.
Exactly. And that brings us to a crucial aspect of understanding how scientists actually study human development.
Okay.
The methods they use to unravel these complex processes.
Okay, so we've got this intricate interplay of nature and nurture, this lifelong journey of growth and change, and this incredible capacity for plasticity.
Right.
But how do scientists actually make sense of it all? What are the tools they use to unlock the secrets of human development?
That's a great question, and it's one that deserves a deep dive of its own.
Okay.
There are three main approaches: surveys, observation, and experiments.
All right.
Each has its strengths and limitations, and often the best approach is to combine them to get a more complete picture.
All right, let's start with surveys. They seem like the most straightforward method. Just ask people questions and see what they say, right?
Yeah.
But I'm guessing there's more to it than that.
You're absolutely right. While surveys can be valuable for gathering large amounts of data relatively quickly, designing effective surveys is a bit like trying to craft the perfect fishing lure.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What makes a good fishing lure in the world of survey research?
It all comes down to asking the right questions in the right way to hook the information you need.
All right.
You have to be mindful of potential biases. Word your questions carefully to avoid leading responses.
Okay.
And make sure your sample is representative of the larger population you're interested in studying.
So if you only survey your friends and family, you might get a very skewed perspective.
Exactly. And even with a well-designed survey and a representative sample, you still have to contend with the fact that people don't always answer truthfully.
Right.
They might want to present themselves in a favorable light
Yeah.
or simply misremember events.
It's like that saying, there are three sides to every story. Your side, my side, and the truth.
That's a great analogy. It highlights why researchers often use multiple methods to triangulate their findings and get a more complete picture of reality. They might combine survey data with observational data, where they carefully watch and record behavior in natural settings to get a more nuanced perspective.
So it's like a detective piecing together clues from different sources to solve a case. But wouldn't observing people in their natural habitats introduce a whole new set of challenges?
It does, yeah.
I mean, how do you ensure that you're not influencing their behavior just by being there?
That's a great point. Observation requires a delicate balance between being present enough to gather meaningful data and remaining unobtrusive enough to avoid skewing the results.
Right.
Researchers often use techniques like habituation, where they spend time in the environment before collecting data to allow the participants to become accustomed to their presence.
It's like being a fly on the wall, but one that the other flies have gradually accepted as part of the scenery.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But even with careful planning and execution,
Right.
there are some behaviors that are simply too rare or private to observe effectively.
Okay.
And that's where the third method, experiments, comes into play.
All right, bring on the experiments. I'm picturing scientists in lab coats mixing bubbling concoctions. What makes experiments so powerful in the realm of human development research?
Imagine you have a set of controls, like in a laboratory setting. But instead of chemicals, you're dealing with human behavior and experiences.
Right.
Experiments allow researchers to isolate specific variables and test cause and effect relationships in a way that's impossible with surveys or observations.
Okay, walk me through an example.
Let's say researchers want to test the effectiveness of a new program designed to boost social skills in shy children.
Okay.
They might randomly assign a group of children to either participate in the program or receive no intervention.
All right.
By carefully controlling for other factors that might influence social skills, they can isolate the impact of the program itself.
So it's like creating two parallel universes,
Right.
one where the program exists and one where it doesn't.
Exactly.
And then comparing the outcomes.
And by randomly assigning participants to groups,
Right.
researchers can minimize the influence of pre-existing differences between the children that might skew the results.
It sounds like a powerful tool for understanding what works and what doesn't.
It is.
But what about ethical considerations? Aren't there some experiments that would simply be off limits when dealing with human subjects?
Yeah.
Especially children.
You're absolutely right. Ethical considerations are paramount in any research involving human participants.
Right.
And developmental research is no exception. Researchers have a responsibility to ensure that their studies are designed to protect the well-being of their participants, especially when working with vulnerable populations like children.
So no mad scientist experiments where we deprive kids of sleep to see how it affects their development.
Definitely not.
Okay, good.
There are strict ethical guidelines in place to ensure that research is conducted responsibly and with the utmost respect for the dignity and welfare of all participants.
That's reassuring to hear. It's a reminder that scientific progress should never come at the expense of human well-being.
Yeah, definitely.
But it also begs the question, with all these different methods and ethical considerations, how do scientists actually piece together the puzzle of human development?
That's where research designs come into play.
Okay.
They provide the framework for how scientists collect and analyze data over time.
Okay, so we've got the tools, we've got the ethical guidelines. Now we need the blueprints for the study itself.
Right.
Tell me more about these research designs.
Okay.
What are some of the key approaches scientists use to study development as it unfolds?
One common approach is a cross-sectional study,
Okay.
where you compare different age groups at a single point in time. Think of it like taking a snapshot of different generations.
Right.
For example, you might survey a group of 10-year-olds, a group of 20-year-olds,
Okay.
and a group of 30-year-olds about their attitudes towards social media
Right.
to see how views differ across age groups.
It's a quick and easy way to get a sense of how things change over time, but it doesn't tell you how individuals within those groups evolve over time.
Exactly. For that, you'd need a longitudinal study
Oh, okay.
where you follow the same individuals over an extended period, tracking their development over time.
So instead of just a snapshot, you're getting a full-length film of how these individuals change and grow.
Precisely.
Wow.
It's a powerful tool for understanding individual trajectories, but it can be time-consuming and expensive to conduct.
Right.
You also have to hope that your participants stick with the study for the long haul.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what if you want the best of both worlds?
Yeah.
Is there a way to capture both the broad trends across age groups and the individual journeys of development?
You're in luck.
Yeah.
There's a third design called a cross-sequential study,
Okay.
which combines elements of both cross-sectional and longitudinal approaches. It's like creating a time-lapse video where you can see both the overall pattern and the individual movements within the frame.
So you might start with several age groups, like in a cross-sectional study,
Right.
but then follow those groups over time, like in a longitudinal study. It's like a superpowered research design.
Exactly. Cross-sequential studies offer the most comprehensive perspective,
Wow.
but they also require the most resources and careful planning.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But regardless of the specific design,
Okay.
all these research methods rely on a fundamental principle of scientific thinking, the ability to distinguish between correlation and causation.
Ooh, correlation versus causation. That sounds like a concept that trips up a lot of people,
It does.
even outside the world of scientific research. Can you break it down for us?
Absolutely. Correlation simply means that two things are related in some way.
Okay.
For example, there's a positive correlation between ice cream sales and crime rates.
Oh, okay.
Does that mean eating ice cream makes people commit crimes?
I hope not. I'd hate to give up my rocky road addiction.
Of course not. It simply means that both ice cream sales and crime rates tend to rise during the summer months.
Ah.
There's a connection, but it doesn't mean one causes the other.
So just because two things happen together, it doesn't mean one is causing the other.
Right.
There might be a third variable at play, like the heat in this case.
Exactly. It's a common mistake to confuse correlation with causation,
Yeah.
but it's a crucial distinction to understand, especially when interpreting research findings.
Right.
Just because two things are linked doesn't mean one directly influences the other.
It's like a detective mystery.
Yeah.
You need to look for clues and piece together the evidence before jumping to conclusions.
That's a perfect analogy. And that's why having a solid understanding of research methods is so crucial for being a critical consumer of scientific information.
Right.
It's about asking the right questions, being skeptical of easy answers,
Yeah.
and always looking for the underlying mechanisms that connect the dots.
I love that. It's like being a detective, but for the mysteries of human development.
Exactly. And with that, I think we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive into the science of human development.
Yeah, we have.
We've explored the multifaceted nature of development, the different research methods scientists use to study it,
Right.
and the importance of critical thinking when interpreting research findings.
My brain is definitely buzzing with new insights. It's amazing to see how much thought and care goes into designing and conducting research in this field.
It is.
Uh,
And it's this rigorous and ethical approach that allows us to make meaningful discoveries about the complex and fascinating journey of human life.
Yeah.
But we're just getting started. In the next part of our deep dive, we'll delve deeper into some specific examples of how these research methods are used to uncover fascinating insights about human development.
I can't wait. It's like we've just opened the first chapter of a captivating book.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And there's so much more to discover in the pages ahead.
Looking forward to it.
Me too.
Okay, so we've laid the groundwork,
Mhm.
exploring the multifaceted nature of human development and the tools scientists use to study it.
Now, I'm ready for some real-world examples of how these research methods play out in practice.
Okay.
The textbook excerpts we're diving into today include
Yeah.
some intriguing quizzes that put our understanding of correlation to the test.
Right.
Would you say we tackle those?
I'm game.
Okay, cool.
These quizzes are a fun way to illustrate
Mm-hmm.
how easy it is to misinterpret data if we're not careful about distinguishing correlation from causation.
Right.
Ready for the first one?
Get me with it.
It asks about the relationship between ice cream sales and the murder rate.
Ice cream and murder.
Yeah.
That sounds like a bizarre pairing,
Uh-huh.
but I'm all ears.
All right.
What kind of correlation do you think exists between those two?
Well, consider this. Both ice cream sales and crime rates tend to spike during the summer months.
Okay.
So does that mean indulging in a scoop of Rocky Road turns people into criminals?
Okay, I'm sensing a trap here.
Uh-huh.
It seems more likely that a third variable, like the heat, is driving both trends.
Right. Hot weather makes people crave ice cream and also makes them more irritable and prone to aggression.
Exactly. It's a classic example of what we call a spurious correlation,
Oh, okay.
where two things appear connected, but the relationship is actually driven by an external factor.
Right.
It's like those funny internet memes that show a correlation between Nicolas Cage movies and swimming pool drownings.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Amusing, but obviously not a cause and effect relationship.
Right. It highlights how important it is to dig beneath the surface and consider all the potential explanations before drawing conclusions. Okay, hit me with the next quiz question.
All right, this one is a real head scratcher. What's the correlation between reading ability and the number of baby teeth a person has?
Now, that one really throws me for a loop. I can't imagine there's any logical connection between how well someone reads and how many baby teeth they've lost.
Right.
I'm going to go with zero correlation on this one.
You nailed it.
Okay, haha.
It's a nonsensical correlation, but it serves as a reminder that just because two things are measurable doesn't mean they're meaningfully related.
Okay.
It's like trying to find a connection between the number of clouds in the sky and the price of tea in China.
Uh-huh, right.
You might find a statistical correlation, but it's meaningless in the real world.
Okay, last quiz question.
Right?
This one asks about the correlation between a person's sex assigned at birth and the average number of offspring they have.
Okay.
This one feels a bit more sensitive, but I'm curious to hear your take on it.
It's a great example of how correlations can reveal interesting patterns.
Right.
Even when those patterns don't necessarily point to a direct cause and effect relationship.
Okay.
Biologically speaking, women are the ones who give birth.
Right.
So there's generally a positive correlation between being female and having more children. However,
Yeah.
it's crucial to acknowledge the social and cultural factors that influence this as well.
So while biology plays a role, things like societal norms, access to healthcare, and personal choices
Right.
also have a significant impact on family size.
For sure.
It's a reminder that human behavior is rarely simple or straightforward.
Exactly. Reducing complex social phenomena to simple correlations can be misleading and even harmful.
Yeah.
It's like trying to explain an entire symphony by listening to a single note.
Right.
There's so much more to the story.
I love that analogy. It brings us back to the idea that context is everything when it comes to understanding human development. Speaking of context, let's revisit Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems theory, that Russian nesting doll model we talked about earlier.
Okay.
It highlights how our development is shaped by multiple layers of influence,
Right.
from our immediate families
Yeah.
to our broader cultures and historical periods.
It's a powerful framework for understanding how these different layers interact and shape individual trajectories.
Right.
Imagine a child growing up in a low-income neighborhood
Okay.
with limited access to quality education and healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
Their microsystem, that inner circle of family and friends,
Yeah.
might be incredibly supportive,
Right.
but their development is still constrained by the broader context of poverty and systemic inequalities.
So even with a strong support system, external factors can create barriers and limit opportunities. It's like trying to climb a mountain with a heavy backpack full of societal burdens.
Exactly. And this interplay of contexts can have long-lasting consequences, especially during those critical or sensitive periods of development we discussed earlier.
Right.
For instance, children who experience chronic stress or trauma during their early years
Yeah.
might develop differently
Right.
than children who grew up in more stable and nurturing environments. Their brains might become wired for vigilance and threat detection,
No.
making it harder to focus, learn, and form healthy relationships later in life.
That's it's heartbreaking to think about those long-term consequences.
Yeah.
But it also highlights the importance of creating supportive environments and policies that foster resilience and give all children a fair shot at reaching their full potential.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that we have a collective responsibility to create a world where all children have the opportunity to thrive, regardless of their circumstances. And speaking of potential, one of the most exciting areas of research in recent years has been the study of neuroplasticity.
Yes. Neuroplasticity, that's the brain's amazing ability to rewire itself in response to experience. It's like having a brain that's constantly remodeling and upgrading itself based on the input it receives.
Right.
Tell me more about how this plays out in the context of human development.
Imagine a child learning to play a musical instrument.
Okay.
As they practice, the neural pathways in their brain associated with motor control, auditory processing, and memory strengthen and become more efficient.
Okay.
It's like carving a new trail through a forest.
Right.
The more you walk that path, the clearer and more defined it becomes.
So it's not just that children's brains are more adaptable.
Right.
It's that we can actually influence the development of those brains
Exactly.
through experiences and learning opportunities.
Exactly. And the implications of this are profound.
Yeah.
It means that even if a child misses out on certain experiences during critical periods, there's still potential for growth and change later in life.
Oh, wow.
It's like discovering a hidden shortcut in that forest.
Right.
You might have to work a little harder to forge a new path, but it's still possible to reach your destination.
That's such a powerful message of hope and empowerment.
Yeah.
It means that learning is a lifelong journey, and it's never too late to challenge ourselves and expand our horizons.
Precisely. And the more we learn about neuroplasticity,
Yeah.
the more we realize that our brains are far more adaptable and resilient than we once believed.
It's like having a superpower hidden inside our skulls.
Ah,
But with all this talk about the brain's amazing capabilities,
Yeah.
it also raises questions about the ethical considerations of studying such a complex and sensitive organ,
right.
especially in children.
You're right. Ethical considerations are paramount in any research involving human participants.
Yeah.
And when it comes to studying the developing brain,
Right.
researchers have a heightened responsibility to protect the well-being of their subjects.
So no brain scanning experiments on unsuspecting toddlers.
Definitely not.
Haha. Okay, good.
Researchers working with children must adhere to strict ethical guidelines, ensuring informed consent from both the child and their parents or guardians. It's also crucial to explain the research to the child in age-appropriate language
Right.
and make sure they feel comfortable asking questions and
Yeah.
expressing any concerns.
It sounds like building trust and rapport is key to conducting ethical research with children.
For sure.
But it's not just about protecting children from harm, right?
Yeah.
There are also ethical considerations related to the potential impact of research findings on public policy and social attitudes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Researchers have a responsibility to consider how their findings might be interpreted and used,
Yeah.
especially when studying sensitive topics like, say, gender differences in cognitive abilities or the effects of early adversity on brain development. It's crucial to ensure that research findings are not misused to justify discriminatory practices or reinforce harmful stereotypes.
It's like wielding a powerful tool you need to be incredibly mindful of how it's used and the potential consequences of its application.
Exactly.
Right.
Scientific knowledge is a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
And researchers have a responsibility to be both advocates for scientific progress and guardians of ethical principles.
That's a lot of responsibility to shoulder.
Yeah.
But it also speaks to the power and importance of research in shaping our understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
Precisely. And now that we've delved into the ethical considerations, let's shift our focus to the nuts and bolts of research methods, the specific techniques scientists use to collect and analyze data.
Okay, I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and get into the nitty-gritty. We've talked about surveys, observations, and experiments in broad strokes, but I'm eager to explore the nuances of each approach.
Okay.
Where do we start?
Let's start with surveys.
Okay.
They might seem like the most straightforward method,
Mm-hmm.
just asking people questions and recording their answers.
Right.
But there's a real art to crafting effective surveys
Okay.
that yield meaningful and reliable data.
So it's not just about throwing together a bunch of random questions.
Right.
What are some of the key things researchers consider when designing surveys?
One of the biggest challenges is designing questions that are clear, unbiased, and truly measure what you're trying to assess.
Okay.
It's like trying to build a sturdy house.
Mm-hmm.
You need a strong foundation of well-crafted questions to support the weight of your findings.
So word choice is crucial.
Absolutely.
A poorly phrased question could lead to misleading results.
For example, if you're trying to gauge people's attitudes towards a particular social issue,
Right.
you need to word your questions in a neutral way that doesn't sway their responses.
Mm-hmm.
Leading questions like, don't you agree that? Or would you say that?
Yeah.
Can subtly push people towards a particular answer.
It's like trying to walk a tightrope. You need to find the perfect balance to get accurate results.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even with carefully worded questions,
Yeah.
you still have to consider the issue of response bias.
Okay.
People don't always answer survey questions honestly, either because they want to present themselves in a favorable light
Yeah.
or because they simply misremember events.
It's like that saying, there are 3 versions of every story. Yours, mine, and the truth. So how do researchers account for these potential biases when analyzing survey data?
That's where statistical techniques and careful interpretation come in.
Okay.
Researchers use statistical methods to adjust for potential biases and to assess the reliability and validity of their findings.
Right.
They also look for patterns and inconsistencies in the data that might suggest response bias.
So it's a bit like being a detective,
Right.
looking for clues and piecing together the story behind the data.
Yeah.
But even with those safeguards, surveys are still relying on self-reported information, which can be subjective and unreliable.
That's true, which is why researchers often combine survey data with other methods,
Right.
like observations, to get a more complete picture.
Okay, let's talk more about observations.
Right.
It sounds like a more direct approach, observing people's behavior in their natural environments. But wouldn't that introduce a whole new set of challenges?
It does.
Yeah.
Observational research requires a delicate balance
Okay.
between being present enough to gather meaningful data
Right.
and remaining unobtrusive enough to avoid influencing the behavior you're observing.
Right.
It's like being a wildlife photographer trying to capture a rare animal in its natural habitat.
Okay.
You need to be close enough to get a clear shot, but not so close that you scare it away.
I can see how that would be tricky. What are some of the techniques researchers use to minimize their impact on the observed behavior?
One common technique is what we call habituation,
Okay.
where researchers spend time in the environment before collecting data, allowing the participants to become accustomed to their presence.
So it's like being a fly on the wall, but one that the other flies have gradually accepted as part of the furniture.
Exactly. Another challenge with observations is ensuring that your observations are objective and unbiased.
Okay.
Our brains are wired to see patterns and make judgments.
Right.
So it's crucial to minimize the influence of our own preconceptions when recording data.
So how do researchers avoid letting their own biases color their perceptions?
One way is to use a standardized coding system to categorize and record behaviors. This ensures that everyone on the research team is using the same criteria to observe and interpret the data.
So it's like having a set of rules that everyone follows to keep things consistent and objective.
Exactly. Another way to enhance objectivity
Okay.
is to have multiple observers independently code the data and then compare their findings.
Okay.
If there's a high level of agreement between observers, it increases confidence in the reliability of the data.
So it's like having a system of checks and balances to ensure that the observations are as accurate as possible.
Right.
But even with those safeguards, I imagine there are still limitations to what you can observe in natural settings. What about behaviors that are rare or that occur in private settings?
That's one of the key limitations of observational research.
Okay.
It's also time-consuming and expensive, often requiring researchers to spend hours observing and coding behavior. And that's where the third method, experiments, comes into play.
Okay, let's dive into the world of experiments.
All right.
I'm picturing scientists in lab coats carefully controlling variables and measuring outcomes. What makes experiments so powerful in the realm of human development research?
Imagine you have a set of controls,
Okay.
like in a laboratory setting, but instead of chemicals, you're working with human behavior and experiences. Experiments allow researchers to isolate specific variables and test cause and effect relationships in a way that's impossible with surveys or observations.
Okay, walk me through an example.
Let's say researchers want to test the effectiveness of a new program designed to improve memory in older adults.
Okay.
They might randomly assign a group of older adults to either participate in the program or receive no intervention.
All right.
By carefully controlling for other factors that might influence memory, like age, health status, and education level,
Right.
they can isolate the impact of the program itself.
So you're creating two parallel universes, one where the program exists and one where it doesn't,
Right.
and then comparing the outcomes to see if there's a difference?
That's a great way to put it. And by randomly assigning participants to groups,
Right.
researchers minimize the influence of pre-existing differences between the individuals that might skew the results.
Right.
It's like shuffling a deck of cards to ensure a fair game.
It sounds incredibly powerful for establishing causality.
Yeah.
But I imagine there are also challenges and limitations to conducting experiments,
That's right.
especially when studying human development.
One of the biggest challenges is ensuring that the experimental setting is realistic enough to generalize to real-world situations.
Okay.
You don't want to create such a controlled environment
Right.
that it no longer reflects how people actually behave
Yeah.
in their everyday lives.
So you're trying to strike a balance between controlling the variables and creating an environment that feels authentic and relatable to the participants.
Exactly.
Okay.
Researchers need to be mindful of what's called ecological validity, meaning the extent to which the experimental setting reflects the real world.
Right.
It's like building a stage set for a play.
Oh,
You want it to be convincing enough to suspend disbelief,
right.
even though everyone knows it's not a real living room or forest.
That makes sense. But even with a well-designed experiment and a realistic setting,
Yeah.
aren't there still ethical considerations to keep in mind?
course.
Especially when working with vulnerable populations like children or older adults.
Absolutely. Ethical considerations are always paramount, regardless of the research method.
Right.
Researchers have a responsibility to protect the well-being of their participants, which sometimes means making difficult decisions about what kinds of manipulations are acceptable
Okay.
and what risks are justifiable.
So there's a constant tension between the pursuit of knowledge and the need to protect the welfare of those involved in the research.
Precisely. And it's a tension that researchers must grapple with constantly.
Yeah.
It requires careful planning, ongoing monitoring, and a deep commitment to ethical principles.
It's a reminder that science is not just about cold, hard facts, but
Right.
also about human values and the responsibility to conduct research in a way that benefits humanity.
Well said. And with that, I think we've covered a lot of ground in this second part of our deep dive.
Yeah, we have.
We've explored the nuances of different research methods,
Yeah.
from surveys to observations to experiments, and we've highlighted the importance of ethical considerations in every stage of the research process.
My brain is definitely full. It's fascinating to see how much thought and care goes into designing and conducting research on human development.
It is. And it's this rigorous and ethical approach that allows us to make meaningful discoveries about the complex and fascinating journey of human life.
Well, I'm definitely ready for the final leg of our deep dive. What other treasures of knowledge do you have in store for us? We've really gone deep into like the how of studying human development,
Right.
the methods, the designs, the ethical tightropes researchers walk. But I'm curious about the why.
Okay.
Why does all this matter for us non-scientist folks out here in the real world?
That's the key question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like having this incredible map of human development, but we need to know where to go with it.
Yeah.
And the truth is, this knowledge has implications for almost every corner of our lives. Education, healthcare, even social policy. It all connects back to understanding how people change and grow.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Give me some concrete examples of how this knowledge translates into real-world applications.
Okay, let's start with education.
Right.
Imagine trying to teach a room full of kids
Right.
who are all at different developmental stages with varying learning styles and needs.
Yeah.
Understanding those individual differences, knowing how children develop cognitively and socially,
Right.
allows us to tailor our teaching strategies
Okay.
and create more effective learning environments.
So instead of a one-size-fits-all approach,
Right.
we can personalize education to make it more engaging and effective for each child.
Exactly.
It's like having a custom-tailored suit instead of a hand-me-down that doesn't quite fit.
That's a great analogy.
Uh-huh.
And it's not just about academic learning.
Right.
Understanding social and emotional development
Right.
helps us create classroom environments where kids feel safe, supported, and empowered to learn and grow.
Makes sense. What about healthcare? How does understanding human development inform the way we approach medical practice?
For starters, it helps us recognize that people have different health needs
Okay.
at different stages of life.
Right.
Infants and toddlers have different nutritional requirements than adults.
Right.
And older adults may be more susceptible to certain medications or chronic conditions.
So it's about moving away from a one-size-fits-all approach to healthcare
Right.
and recognizing that treatment needs to be tailored to the individual and their developmental stage.
Precisely.
Okay.
And beyond the physical aspects of health, understanding psychological development
Okay.
can help us identify risk factors for mental health conditions
Right.
and develop early intervention strategies.
So if we know that certain experiences during childhood, like trauma or neglect, can increase the risk of depression or anxiety later in life, we can intervene early to provide support and build resilience.
Exactly. It's like having a map that shows us the potential hazards along the road
Right.
and allows us to steer clear or at least be better prepared to navigate them.
I love that analogy. It really highlights the preventative power of this knowledge.
Yeah.
It's not just about treating problems after they arise. It's about creating the conditions for healthy development from the start.
Couldn't agree more.
Right.
And that brings us to the realm of social policy.
Okay.
Understanding human development can guide us in creating policies that support families, promote child well-being, and address social inequalities.
So things like affordable childcare, paid parental leave, and quality early childhood education program.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those types of policies can have a ripple effect, not just on individual families,
Right.
but on society as a whole.
Wow.
Investing in early childhood development isn't just a feel-good initiative.
Yeah.
It's a smart investment in the future.
It's like planting a seed that will grow into a strong and healthy tree,
Right.
benefiting everyone in its shade.
I love that image.
Uh-huh.
And finally, let's not forget the role that understanding development plays in our personal relationships.
Okay.
Knowing how people change and grow over time, recognizing that we're all works in progress,
Yeah.
can help us navigate the inevitable challenges that arise in any relationship.
It's about having more compassion and patience
Right.
for ourselves and others, understanding that we're all on different timelines and that growth isn't always linear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like learning to appreciate the beauty of a wildflower meadow
Right.
instead of trying to force all the flowers into neat rows.
That's such a beautiful way to put it.
Huh?
It sounds like understanding human development isn't just about accumulating knowledge. It's about cultivating wisdom, empathy, and a deeper appreciation for the complexities of the human experience.
Beautifully said. And I think that's a fitting note to end on.
Yeah.
As we conclude this deep dive into the science of human development, I hope you're leaving with a sense of wonder and curiosity
Definitely.
about the intricate tapestry of human life.
I know I am. It's been an incredible journey, and I'm feeling inspired to keep learning and growing.
And remember, this is just the beginning. There's so much more to explore and discover about ourselves and each other. Keep those brains firing, those hearts open, and those connections strong. Until next time, happy developing.